I see you. Hey, I've got a
I see you too.
yeah. Hey everybody, this is the first, the last in Nerdum. We have a very special guest today. Lori, she's come all the way from Florida to visit us. She's a longtime friend of mine, and she's a big Avatar fan, at least for the first movie. And then I'll hand it over to Lori and let her do a little intro of herself.
Yes. Thank you, Lori.
Yeah.
Yes. So I've known Thomas for better part of 20 years. And yeah, I love Avatar. I mean, the first one was amazing. The second one, it was pretty good too. So I guess we're here to review that today.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah, I brought Lori to take the podcast to the next level.
That's right.
That's a throwback, 20-year throwback. All right, so to begin with, my introduction to Avatar was just I'm familiar with James Cameron, and I sort of have a love-hate relationship with James Cameron. There's like I love the first Terminator movie. But yeah, there's in Aliens is great, but I could care less for what was that, his underwater movie? I want to call it The Deep, but The Abyss.
Yeah, that's it.
I think I was
right.
probably one of the few people that didn't care for that one. But yeah, so when Avatar came around, there was like this, anything Cameron comes out with is like a huge deal for some whatever reason. So and I was going through a phase where I was anti blockbuster movies. I was all independent. So I really didn't care to see Avatar. Just I had a predisposition against it. So I did actually get it on probably the worst way to watch it originally was DVD. And I was like, meh. So and I pushed it aside until Lori, I wanted her to be on our show, and she suggested she wanted to watch the Avatar. So I did rewatch Avatar recently as well, and I think my opinion of it rose quite a bit because I could enjoy the 4K nice special effects the way it was intended, and not on a small DVD screen and whatnot. But yeah, I think Mike hadn't seen any of the movies previously.
Nope. Yeah, never came in with an opinion, positive or negative. I remember when it was out, but I just never got around to seeing it for whatever reason. 3D was like the big thing, and as a tech nerd, 3D kind of TV became like kind of like a guffaw, laugh later on, because like that was like what everybody wanted you to buy, and then you didn't. And in any case, I never went back and saw it. I mean, I saw clips and stuff, but like I have no love or no hate for this thing, like this kind of thing. So from what I understand, the people that I remember talking about it, hey man, you got to go see it. Hey, it was 3D. It was like you would only have that experience if you were in the theater when it played, and it played for a very long time. And I do kind of miss that I missed out on like on the 3D experience, because like that I don't know about people's opinion about 3D, but like there are movies that become 3D, or if you do that, or if you have the opportunity, the chance, it looks great. But anyway, sorry.
Did you watch the second one in 3D?
No, I watched it in IMAX, the IMAX screening. And it was, I will say this, like, and I'll agree with my brother-in-law, because we kind of like chit-chatted a little bit beforehand. Like he's like, dude, if you watch Avatar, or Avatar 2 more specifically, you gotta watch it in the theater. It means nothing if you watch it on your TV. Like, not to say that that's bad, but it's not the same experience. And I agree with that. That is a very true statement, whether you like the movie or you don't, or whatever, or somewhere in between, for sure.
Yeah. I did not watch the first one 3D either, and I absolutely loved it. And I was rather regretful later that I did not watch it 3D. And then I know that they were doing a rescreening of it in December, and I just didn't, I mean, with the holidays, I just didn't have time to go back and go watch a 3-hour movie, find somebody that wanted to go with me.
Right.
I feel like there's a lot of people in my inner circle now that's just like, Avatar, okay. Meanwhile, I'm like, I love Avatar. But so when I went to go see the second Avatar, I definitely saw it in 3D and I loved it. Just, the colors and the little wisps that are flying through the air, it was pretty cool to see it 3D. So I did enjoy it.
Yeah, and one of the things I like about the movies is that yeah, they're a spectacle. The stories, in my opinion, the story kind of takes the back seat to the experience. Like with the first Avatar, it's a story we've been told before. I was reading in the Wikipedia, James Cameron kind of sourced, like Dances with Wolves and Last of the Mohicans, sort of that type of story that it is. And as I watched it, and then I read later that he was also inspired. I got this real strong sense of Edgar Rice Burroughs stories, like Tarzan, and especially John Carter from Mars.
Yeah,
And
I see that, yeah.
and I was reading, and James Cameron was inspired by by him as well for this. So one of the questions I have is, do you see this more as a science fiction movie or more of a fantasy movie, or is it just a weird mixture of the two?
Well, for me, I mean, I guess it's classified as fantasy, right? But I mean, it brings in like originally the first one, it brought in like the idea of how we're going to kill the world if we don't treat it better. And then the second one was kind of like the same hidden meaning. So is it really fantasy? It's just kind of like with a hidden meaning. But yeah, I guess it's sci-fi. I'm not really sure. Do you classify it as sci-fi?
I always thought of it as sci-fi, but when I was watching it again, it was like I don't know. I got more of a fantasy vibe from it, but I think science fiction and fantasy is so
very
incestuous, that there's like a very a big bleed over. And I know Mike's more of a hard sci-fi guy.
Yeah. So there are two things going on here. One is I am not a normie for this. And insofar as sci-fi goes, I'm not going to sit up here on a gateway and gatekeep this or that. I'm not the type to be a stick in the mud. So I recognize what a good story is. And the one thing I will praise about this, seeing the second one, is that boy, it sure tries to include everyone, and not in a way that tells you what to think. It carries you along with the story naturally. I will give that credit. I didn't care for it as a sci-fi thing, whatever. Doesn't matter. I'm Mike Shaw. I like what I like. That's fine. But I could still appeal. It still appealed to me from the standpoint of being a dad. And if my kids were with me and we saw it, they would find something they would like for sure. But as I actually kind of saw this, and I didn't know this, but apparently I was talking to my brother-in-law, which this review is kind of heavily influenced by a little bit from our backwards and forwardsness of when I watched the show, the movie. And that was like, it's called a planetary romance, which I have no idea what that means, but then I looked it up and it makes sense. But like, whatever, you could call it speculative fiction if you were back in the day. You could call it hard sci-fi. You could call it military sci-fi, whatever. I don't think that serves any justice to the story for what it is. I think it is a family-oriented story. However you want to call it, sci-fi or fantasy or whatever. It is a family-based thing. You cannot separate this movie from mom and dad and the kids. You just can't do it. So it's like, to me, it's kind of like more of like I guess a new school Disney kind of wide appeal kind of thing. And I will say this, like they nail it. I mean, there is no you cannot hate on this on the movie is what I'm saying at the basics, but like it's got something for everybody. But like Yeah, I mean, for me, like hard sci-fi guy, yeah, okay, maybe not for me, but you know, me as the dad, oh, it's easy win. So it's hard for me to discern. You know, I don't want to poo-poo it, but at the same time, like for me personally, would I show up for this for 3 and 4 and 5 Avatar, whatever? Probably not. But you know, eh, credit where due. Um, that the one thing that I did like about this is they didn't tell you what to think or who the heroes were or who the baddies were right off the bat. It was very natural as it could be, and I appreciated that from that standpoint as a movie. So I'll leave that be as it would. I'm really curious to see a true blue fan and what they say and think of it from your perspective, Lori. So never mind my my gimp take. Please go in.
Well, the first one I absolutely loved. Myself, much like many others that were across the nation, when you left the theater, you just felt like, I don't even know what I was feeling. I've only felt that feeling in myself twice in my entire life. One was going to Elvis's house and seeing just like the amount of awards this man won and his small life that he had lived, and just the amazingness that he had created, you know, in our entire world.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course watching Avatar, I don't know what kind of emotion that was that elicited inside of me, just like awe-inspiring, just absolutely, just like, wow, that was transformative in my mind. I can't believe it. That just took me to another level. I love sci-fi. I love fantasy. I love that sort of thing. So for me, this was quite new to see all the different things that was shown. So I loved it. Going into the second one, I was excited, super excited. It was very similar, which is where I'm kind of like, oh yeah. I mean, the second one was good, but it was just so reminiscent of the first one that I was just like, okay. I still give it great marks. I still loved it, but it just had such a feel of the first one, and in the middle, it was just like all the kids just running around,
Right.
and then there was just like little pieces, like, I mean, if you just want me to get into it, I can just get into it.
Well,
But like,
I will say, as a first time viewer, I never saw Avatar 1. I no love, no hate, whatever,
Mhm.
no difference for that. I will say, as a new viewer coming in, I felt like to get to connect it to the storyline, there are there are 3 very distinctive thirds of the movie for sure. At a base level, anybody can see that. There's a first third where you come in blind, like I am. You don't know what happened for 1 to 2, whatever. And I will say, I gotta say, I mean, the movie overall wasn't for me personally, but that doesn't take away from the fact that like I wasn't left behind as an audience member because I didn't see the first one. The first third of the movie got me up to speed. I was good. And you're right. The second third was like the kiddos and what they're doing and earning respect or whatever you want to call it, or that totem that they do for the movie. What it didn't that's one thing I want to praise that is unique to a good movie, which is it appeals to a wide audience. It doesn't leave anybody behind. And I saw a lot of different aspects of this, and I can speak to that. Probably not for this review, but I don't see where anybody would have a problem with this. Like, conceptually, like, it might not have been for you, but at the end of the day, did you enjoy your time? Yeah, I was good for. I paid $10. I saw it. I was fine. I was happy with it. Happy enough. And I mean, I'm not gonna say it's the best movie ever, but like for the first third, like I was coming in blind, and I will say, like, it did a pretty good job of like getting me. Okay, I see forest. They're forest Navi. Okay, now they're sea Navi. Okay, got it. Okay, and then there's like that bleed over, and then kind of goes on to the. I don't want to spoil anything, but anyway, sorry.
Yeah, this
spoil
is
anything.
Yeah, this isn't really a spoil podcast. Now, if you do want to get into spoilers, just let us know, and so we won't warn the audience. But yeah, I like how James Cameron's the way he films things, because he's not apologetic or leads you by the hand in any way. I mean, you either accept this world or you don't. Either buy into it or you can leave. And that's I enjoy that. And especially like with the first Avatar, I sort of gravitated more towards the human side of things. When it got to the Na'vi, it kind of lost me. I couldn't really buy into the world, but I could see where if you did buy into the world, like you obviously did, Lori, that it kind of envelops you. And with any good fiction, it could change you. Like I think like you were speaking a little bit that it really had an effect on you.
Yeah.
And, yeah, and those things are rare. That's it's rare for that to happen. Like with most of David Lynch's stuff, that has his stuff has that effect on me. So I do know that feeling where you just you fan out over over the stuff. So
Right.
but yeah, and that's something special. That's something you can't capture in a bottle. You can't obviously make a movie that triggers that in everybody, although they do try.
Well,
But,
and that's the thing, like, where you have to respect new fandom, right? So it might not be for me, but like, I'm not gonna poo-poo something that is like conceptually good. He knows how to tell a story. James Cameron does, and he includes everyone. So never mind my poo-pooing or whatever like that. I'm dyed in the wool nerds for the sci-fi, hard sci-fi, military sci-fi thing. But at the same time, like, you have this thing that, like, where I came in blind, and I could easily see like where it fits you in nicely, and you are along for the ride. And I'm not gonna lie, I did cheer like out loud. I clapped like when the dad was like doing his thing, or the kids. There was like one scene like that drew me into it, whether I wanted to or not, where it was like the sea Navi and like the forest Navi, and they first got established there. They're like establishing, I am me, you are you. Da, da, da. So my brother, here's my sister, and they started to like do that thing, and then they had that whole scene with the dad. Like, it was, I don't think, I think that if you left that to modern uh things in Marvel, it would be screwed up. So I'm glad that James Cameron got to do it, because, like, you know what? Maybe there's not nothing. There was something there for me for two. I'll put that. Nothing there for me for the first one, but second one, there's a little bit there. So the third and the fourth and the fifth, I'm down for it. Like, I would rather have something of substance than not in there. But I would never mind that. You're the true blue. What do you say? What do you think? What captured your imagination and kept it sustaining for you as a fan, and what like what didn't work, or whatever.
Are you talking about what sustained me as a fan over the years?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh
Yeah,
God,
both,
just how
both over the years and this movie, whatever, all the above.
Yes, well, over the years, obviously, I just loved Avatar. It's literally my number one still favorite movie of all time. There's some close ones in there, but this is definitely, like I said, it just like touched me in a way that no other movie has ever touched me. So I loved it. I was just so excited. And so this new movie, I mean, just seeing where everything was going, I'm really curious where it's going, because I just don't feel like I have enough of the story. And I mean, during the whole movie, I feel like I have so many open-ended questions, which I do want to talk about today. But I don't know if we're exactly there yet. So I'm not really sure.
Well, as a true blue fan for Star Trek or Star Wars, like, that's the thing is that the movie at the end of the day leaves the true blue fans wanting more. Like,
and that's
correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you want to see 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Go into it, please.
No. Okay. So when I left, I was like, okay, I have questions here. So for instance, I was confused about the Colonel's son. I was like, well, who is this son? Like, where did he come from? Right. Did you guys ever find out? Did you figure that out?
I honestly, I took it as like, I took it as an article of faith for the whole thing. Like, I'm like, okay, So I see Sigourney Weaver, his mom, or whatever.
No, that
Whatever.
wasn't even his. No, that's Curie. Curie
Okay.
is Sigourney Weaver's kid, which I have thoughts about that one. So Spider is the kid that I'm talking about. So Spider is the Colonel's son.
Right.
And so I'm like, okay, who's the mother of this one? So I Googled it, and it was apparently some pilot. I don't know that was in the movie. If it was, I didn't catch it.
No, yeah. One of the podcasts I watched about these movies, they one of the guys said they must have been really effing off camera. They're effing everywhere.
Yes.
So that's the movie I wanted to see.
well, I didn't quite understand. Like, I don't understand quite how, like, okay, Pandora happened, and the first one happened, right? Mm-hmm. And basically my understanding is dude was wheelchair, whatever, Marine, rah, hua, whatever, became a Navy, met the female, whatever, and who also is like number one for like grossing movies of all time. People used to talk about Sam Adams for that. But anyway, I think that was her role. Anyway, she is like the wife of him, of Sutter, or anyway, whatever. I didn't quite get, like, but I was like, okay, cool, right, I accept it, whatever. Like, I get it. Like, Spider is like the only human, and he's with these dudes, and
the adopted child.
Right. Like, so
I
it's
can
like,
see,
okay,
Mike, where you'd think that might have been covered in the first movie, since you didn't see it.
I don't know.
No, it's not covered.
No, I was just confused about, like, who's the mom. So that leads me right into Sigourney Weaver's kid. Okay, so Sigourney Weaver's kid. I'm like, now what the heck is going on here? So I, of course, leave the theater, instantly start Googling, trying to figure things out. And I'm like, okay, Curie. So she apparently was born a year post brain dead. To me, that's post-mortem. It's a dead body. If your brain dead, I guess maybe they had her on life support. I don't know. But nevertheless, if you read online, it states that she was born a year after. Maybe the gestational period of a Navi is 12 months. I don't know.
Right. So and I'm not spoiling anything. The insidious part are the human side, and apparently the humans have. So the first one, they came and they just try to conquer it. They got thrown back. The second one is them trying to come back and reclaim what they think is theirs. So they took a little bit. Well, the humans in many sci-fi things, I like to call humans a raccoon, right? So the humans as a raccoon is like a nuisance, right? You don't want your trash being overran by raccoons or whatever, whatever. So humans are raccoons, but they're clever and devious enough to adapt to their environment. So, like, they have some kind of like a birthing tank, or a Navi birthing tank, like, where basically they take the downloaded consciousness of the XYZ character, and then they plug it into a new clone body, which is presumably part of their human body, but also. But no, not also, but also Navi. So they kind of ram them together, and then boom, you have your new antagonist. You have your new, well, not protagonist, because the main character, I don't know how it worked in the first one, but he basically became Navi some way, somehow. And he became one of them, and then their kids were kind of sort of hybrids or something. I don't know.
Right. And some of them were, and some of them weren't. Two of them actually they had 4 fingers. And then Sigourney Weaver. Yeah, 2 of them had 4 fingers, and then 2 of them had 5 fingers. Sigourney Weaver's daughter had 5 fingers. At the end of the first one, when Sigourney Weaver was dying, they were trying to merge her avatar body with her actual body. But the tree of life, like, started downloading her memories into the tree, and she says, I'm with Neeva. So she ended up going with the tree versus getting downloaded into her avatar body, which then is when her body supposedly either got pregnant. I don't know how long, again, the gestational period of an avatar is. So let's say if it's 9 months like a human, then she got pregnant after the fact. But if you remember, when Kira goes down into the water, she all of a sudden she hooked to the underwater tree of life, and she has that seizure. But just before she has that seizure, she starts to have a vision of her mother that was showing her father. And then all of a sudden she had the seizure and they didn't show. So I'm like, maybe their gestational period is longer. I don't know, but it left it very open-ended, and I was just a little saddened I didn't get to know, but excited that I get to see it again, or hear about it in the future.
Well, that's so funny to me, because like never mind how well it is or is not the movie Avatar 2, whatever. Mm-hmm. The fact is they have you dialed in, and not just you, but millions of parents and moms and dads to be like, hey kiddos, like that. So that's a good thing in my book. I don't understand anything, and like sometimes with sci-fi it's just like whoop, and I'm like, I'll Google it later, and then I'll spend like hundreds of hours on YouTube, like explain the whatever.
Yes.
And especially it's great that it's a original IP as opposed to say a reboot or based off something else or something else. It's something fully formed out of James Cameron's head.
Right.
And a lot of the stuff that happens in it, you just have to kind of go along with what James is bringing you through. Like you were saying with the Tree of Life downloading Ewad downloading into the Avatar. How did they know to do that?
Right. Who was like, the first one?
Right. I guess this would be the first one. And why were they so sure about it? I guess because of their religion and whatnot.
Well, I think that they were kind of like questioning whether or not it could, but they had the suspicion that the Tree of Life might be able to help, and that they just wanted to put their hope into it. So
well, there's that aspect, which is like, okay, so you have like smaller one-to-one consciousness, or whatever you want to call it, like kind of mind melts. I don't know. I don't know, but call it mind melts, whatever you want to call it, like nerddom, whatever. And then you have like the big Mother Earth, Gaia, the tree, whatever, tree on the forest, tree under the water, whatever. Yeah, whatever. No, and that's fine. But like, there's also a scene where the reincarnated, and that's what the thing that captured me was the fact that it borrows from anime and manga, I think. And I didn't even realize this while I was watching this. I was also talking to my brother-in-law, and he's like, "Oh, this sounds like manga." A little bit from the standpoint of like, there's like a little bit of reincarnation from the standpoint of like mind, body, whatever. But then there's like a secondary part where the militarized, reborn antagonist, I don't know, the one colonel, that the bad guy.
Colonel.
Yeah, the one that goes, well, and and I'm kind of joking here, but like, and this is kind of like a fun thing. General Carmela from The Sopranos. Like, I don't know her name, but she was Carmela was Anthony's wife, whatever.
Right.
I'm kind of joking here, but General Carmela, and then you have that, and then they're like, well, every time we go in there with our equipment, we get chewed up within 10 minutes, like it's done. Mm-hmm. So you guys are like Navi adapted or whatever, bastardized as it were, because he kind of sort of has like a little bit of a relationship with Spider, the human that is Navi, but not. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to give that away, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, but you have this. Yeah, no. Well, it's all part of the story. They don't hide nothing. Like, this like within the first third of the movie. It's not a big deal.
Right.
Not a spoiler, but they have that, and then you kind of zoom to like, well, we'll just be Navi and we'll infiltrate them. It's very interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, what was your thoughts about them bringing that Stephen Lang back as the villain?
So my thought, as soon as he woke up, what was the thing he was saying? Kill Jake Sully. Like, his whole life's mission is
constantly.
Yes. And which made me confused throughout the movie. I literally left the movie going, so wait, did they just fund like coming back to Pandora just to kill Jake Sully? Because that's kind of what they made me think. And I really had to like sit with my thoughts and like piece them all together and like, oh no, I see why. Okay. But like, it was so capitalized and thrown in your face, you almost forget at times like what they're actually there for, which is the fluid. What was that fluid called from like the whales? Oh, ametria. So I had to Google that. That is an actual word. And it's
really? Not like unobtainium?
It's Sanskrit in India for immortality. And so they actually, there was like, in folklore, I guess there was two things that were like fighting against one another. But I mean, there's this whole thing. So he literally took that word, and if you look it up, it has great meaning. But yeah, so then they start talking about it, which again, I get a little confused because they extract this fluid from his head, which is supposed to be worth $80 million. Okay, fine. It's money, but it's not that much money in today's standards, it seems. So, and then they're talking about, you know, like forever young aspects. Well, okay, is it just for vanity purpose? So again, I have to Google that. And I'm like, okay, what exactly? Then I remembered, oh, that's right. The world is dying. So the world is dying. In order to get to another world, they can go in their little pods that they take in order to go to another world. But by the time they get there, they still have aging properties. But with this fluid from the whales' heads, it completely stops your aging process. So by the time you get to the next planet, then you're able to, you know, just be who you are. Let's say if you're 25, you're still 25. So, but it stinks that they have to go and rob Pandora of these amazing animals to, you know, be able to sustain life, human life, because you've already destroyed one planet and then go destroy another planet, essentially, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
right. And when they were reintroducing humans, the baddies, so to speak, coming down, they showed fire and brimstone kind of sort of stuff, like where it burned away, like all the like where the whatever landing ships or whatever technology the humans, it didn't really matter what it's called.
Right.
They showed them coming down like with these huge V things that like burned everything out.
Right.
Which was like, you know, just to show like, oh, these careless fools, these people are just like, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. Right.
Yeah, that was I forgot about that. That's a good representation of like mankind. You know, literally, we just don't care. It's like, let's just pollute the earth. All right. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see that. Yeah, but sad at the same time. I'm interested to see where they take that, because I mean, they can't kill all the whales, and it can only take so many, because it was like a tiny little vial, you know, like how much do you need in order to get a person to another planet? How many people can survive on that?
Yeah. And one of the things that I was watching another podcast, and that one of the guys mentioned that the way James Cameron does the second movie, it's more like a at this point more like a novel as opposed to a movie, in that it handles it sort of like a novel, in that, you know, they're introducing stuff that's going to be paying off like movies later. You know, it's like, okay, put a bookmark in that part. You know, you have to wait till the movie 4 for for a follow-up on that, and that he enriches the world so much, like you were talking about, that there's so many details that it's almost like a novel as opposed to a movie that sort of just kind of skims through everything. That you can kind of really dig your fingers into everything.
If you go back to that last picture that you just had up, that was the youngest kid, the nickname Turk, and you can see that it only had 4 fingers, I guess. The other one that had, the other one that was the firstborn son, he also had 4 fingers. While the second son and then Kira, they both had 5 fingers right there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, they really made it easy to access. I will say that. That is not something I could say for Star Wars. If you saw Star Wars, you had to see the first one. I mean, you could theoretically see the second one, but like you'd be like, I don't really care. I don't really care about Han Solo being frozen and what you just don't have the tie-in. But so props where due, like they really did make you care about the main family from their perspective. And that's what as much as didn't work for me personally, it still worked for a general audience in general. Like there was something there for everyone, and even male and female. like with the whole gender thing. Like you very quickly got to see like what is female, what is male, and then maybe somewhere in between or whatever. Like so, like maybe certain people didn't catch that, but like they did a good. I don't think that you could do a 21st century movie that would appeal as much with how he did, and he did. Thomas and I covered like when he kind of did the contra. He used lightning a little bit with the contra. He said something about it really doesn't matter, but like he said something about testosterone or whatever, and like whoop, he caught the lightning of the people who like to talk about the movie to like get people to go see it. Like, whoa, maybe you can see it and you can see if there's like a something or no, just a good flat fun time.
James,
you could do worse than this movie to go see with your family. for real, like there's like tons of crap you could see that would be garbage that this is way above in quality and just general.
And well, James Cameron, he's got like a tight control over things. Like I someone was pointing out in some interview, he got upset with the interviewer for calling them whales and not by the name of the actual creature that they are. I forget what they're actually called, but yeah, so he's he's very deep into this world, and I don't think he will let Disneyfy it as far as coming out with cartoons and wacky TV shows or whatever squeeze those Avatar bucks out of it.
No, and thank God, because like Disney would, corporate, not Disney per se, but like corporate America would just ruin this. Like if Cameron wasn't behind this would fall apart the second. This movie would not have worked the way it did. I'll say that.
Yeah.
And the fact that it did work, even though I'm not a fan per se, if Disney had touched this like the way they wanted to, not the same thing.
Oh, and
it would have probably been pumped out a lot faster.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh my goodness.
And for shorter. And
yeah. And every year it was like, it's going to come out at year 9, year 10, year 11. And I'm just like, goodness gracious. And then finally it was like definite date this year. I'm like, is it going to come time and they're going to change it again? I was just so anxious. Because I wanted to
keep it in the oven a little bit longer.
I know, it was making me crazy though. I wanted to see it.
But I guess, what did it work for you as a True Blue fan?
Yeah, I mean, because I knew that this was just, a middle episode of however many is to come. To my understanding, I heard there's 3, but then I heard there's more. So whatever middle episode, it kind of, leaves a lot of open-ended questions, which makes me, again, like, I just want to know answers. So of course, that's the reason what leads me to go online looking for any answers. And I mean, I still loved it. I did. I didn't feel the emotion that I felt from the first one, which was disappointing to me. But I mean, I've never felt that with any other movies. So is it really disappointing? Right. Probably not. It's just, I just found it to be a great movie. I hate saying this. I feel like it could have been a little shorter. There was a few parts where I was like, did they really need to put that in there? And then there was like some parts where I was like, wait a minute, they just skipped over that so quickly, like the whale fluid stuff. I was just like, wait, what? And it, I had to rewind in my head as I'm walking out from the theater, like, wait, what just happened? And I had to like piece the pieces together. So I still loved it, but I just feel like it could have been a little different. But hey, I guess that's what happens when you have 13 years to make something, you go really big.
Yeah, it's
really big.
Right. It kind of made me think of, like, say, Stephen King, who his books just keep getting bigger and bigger. It's like he can't they're afraid to edit, say, hey James, you might want to cut it down a little bit. Who's gonna tell him that? And I was watching Mega 64, they were reviewing it on one of their podcasts, and Derek, he said that he fell asleep during the movie, and he goes, but I love the movie because when I woke up, I was still into it, man.
I bet he fell asleep when the kids were like all swimming around and fighting, because there's a bit of that where you're just like,
Yeah.
okay. The
Yeah.
only big thing that was lost was the oldest son, which I was a little bit shocked to see that they killed him off.
Mhm.
And I really like grappled with that, wondering if that was even a necessary thing. And then I was like, well, maybe because they loved him so much, he was so beloved, that it
Mhm.
has to show some kind of major loss. And that was
Right.
supposedly gonna, if they went back to the Navi, that would be the firstborn. So of course, wouldn't he be the next in charge? Or do they vote? I don't even remember because Jake wasn't a Navi to begin with. Was
Right.
Materi, was she? Yes.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
it? She was the daughter of the
Right.
other.
Yeah. The
Okay,
main.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's lineage then.
Yeah. She was
whoever
like
is-
bequeathed to what's his name, and he
That's
got
right.
all upset during the first
That's right.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's
yeah,
my woman.
yeah. And you see like the second born son and how he kind of like wasn't as strong, not as outspoken, just like not like the first son that was,
Right.
everything that I guess a king should be. So I guess it makes
Mhm.
sense why they had to take him away, unfortunately. And
Yeah, you have to
uh,
have sort of that struggle and that also the loss as well. It's
right.
like yeah, because I guess the like with the first movie, Jake Scully, he was the military guy. He was he's like the chosen one, even though he came from another planet.
Right.
I guess that kind of ties into those myths about someone coming from the stars or whatever to bring the alignments or whatever. But yeah, see, he was such a gung ho, could do no wrong kind of character that I guess the oldest son would have been sort of like that with the second one, and
Yeah.
they just wanted to kind of pull the rug from out from under you. It's like,
Yeah.
oh.
But I mean,
Nope.
Jake, he was such like, if you compare in the first one with all the other Marines, he was such a solid character. He was kind, he was still driven, he was understanding. But he's still like, very strong and
Right.
domineering, but in a very respectful manner. So of course he
Yeah.
makes like a good king or whatever aspect chief.
Yeah.
If you will.
Oh, and I did have a question about the first movie. I always before we get into my question, but I also want to bring it back a little bit further in the how Jake Sully was sort of the do no wrong. I take that back a little bit because there's the idea of I always like to play in my mind, is this character a Mary Sue, whether or not the idea that they're perfect, whereas obviously Jake Sully is not perfect. He's he's in a wheelchair and he had all these foibles and whatnot, and that kind of leads me to my question towards the end of the movie where the Navi rebel. I was kind of curious because that they edited it in a way that Jake really didn't spend much time with the Marines, but he was a hardcore Marine. Uh, I, I was kind of curious about his mental struggles with actually turning on them and fighting them. Also, especially even more so with Michelle Rodriguez's character in the first movie, where she turns on him. It's like they didn't really give much service to why they, how that affected them mentally of turning on them, and I guess they didn't because that wasn't the focus. The focus was on saving
Right.
the Navi.
But
Yeah.
have you ever been in a situation that where you're like kind of in a group and the group all has their own opinions, their own ways. Some people are more outspoken than the others, and it's almost a divided group. And then like it literally goes to the point of like somebody like going down a bad path and a good path, and you're just kind of divided and you're like, I can't keep doing this. And this goes for toxic relationships. You're like, I can't do this anymore. Let me get out of here. But I mean, it's just like, I feel like the Rodriguez character and Jake, like they just were seeing the wrong of the man, and how once they got to know them to a greater degree, like how calm and sweet and loving, and they even saw their tree of souls and like everything. So I myself could totally see myself like okay, let me just download up into this Avatar because I'm done with humanity. Look at what's going on over here. They number one killed the planet. They did all this nonsense. I'm out.
Yeah, I definitely understand why they defended the Na'vi.
Gotcha.
Obviously, no, but the idea of then turning your guns on who used to be your friends, because you see those scenes of him in the mess hall with the fellow Marines, and some of them they didn't have the opportunity to be introduced to the Na'vi and to be changed by that. They were just following orders, which you could say that the people following Hitler was just following orders as well.
You're right.
But these guys, and this also goes back to the Kevin Smith thing about the Death Star, about the workers on the Death Star, the average worker,
contractors and whatnot.
the contractors and whatnot. But it's like those average Joes that are just doing the job, getting their paycheck, and then now, but they did decide that they were going to go along and fire on the Na'vi after everybody was expressing that there's children involved. So there's also that.
I can't. I feel like I'm in between here. Like I can't account for that, but I can say, when I started watching the show, you are, as a general audience member, you are thrown in this world where it's these blue people, and they're doing their thing. They're sunset, sunrise. They're peaceful. They're all this wonderful stuff, and then you have like these other blue people that are coming to run the show, and they I don't know how to like bridge those worlds, but like every time the dad is on screen, he's dad. That he says, hey, we're with the new sea people, we're with the new sea Navy, all right, don't make trouble, contribute, and then just be cool. I don't know how to transition that from like what you're talking about to like that. And this is really just actually plays into my one, and I should probably go watch the full movie, the first one from the beginning to the end. But like when you get to the second one, I don't know how he did that, but I will say this: you don't think anything along those lines. You don't worry about that. You just worry about dad, mom, kids, and like these bad guys, and they're not there for you.
I guess I can understand Jake a little bit better because he had his woman that he was in love with, and you do crazy things for love. you fight your friends for her. She's being threatened with her life.
It becomes family at that point. Like then you like, I don't know how to transition from what you saw to this, but I can say mom, dad, family, like you're in, and you're like, oh my God, I want these guys to be okay, like as a dad.
It's either like literally at the rawest form, it's kill or be killed. I mean, it's literally like what you were saying, Thomas, like do they, I mean, he has to turn on his friends. Like that's a huge decision. Do I sacrifice myself in all of these people that I believe in, and I look at their worlds, they've done no harm, and it's like, okay, I guess I hate saying this, but I've seen what humanity has done, and I have to turn my back on it. So it's kill or be killed. And it sucks.
I guess what I was hoping for was maybe a scene between maybe Jake Sully and Michelle Rodriguez's character where they talk, and maybe have a moment where they talk, but it's neither here nor there. It's just something that I kind of thought about while watching it again. I
feel like that was the magic of the first one, is that things were not spoken, and it was just felt at the rawest form in your heart.
Yeah.
And I feel like with that unspokenness, like I just feel like that was part of the magic of the whole movie. And it was just like, yeah, no, I feel that. I totally feel it. I don't know why I feel that. And now that we're discussing it, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. It's kill or be killed.
Yeah. And you're right that everything is kind of I think we were talking about we talked about 12 Monkeys last week, where that movie treated you like an adult, like, okay, you're going to understand this. I'm going to throw a bunch of stuff at you. You're going to understand it, and either catch up or you're left behind. And this movie sort of is that way too. It's like, you got to follow into it in this world and understand it, or you're just going to be lost.
Well, and to speak from my point of view, I would say, even though I personally would not recommend this movie at the end of this whole thing that we're talking about, this would not be a recommend for me. For many different reasons, but nothing that I can grasp onto for me to negatively say, do not see this movie. Like, I can't say that because I don't know how they did it. And I just saw it literally like a couple hours ago, like that. I can't. Well, maybe I would have a different, that would be a fun thing maybe to watch Avatar and then come back and see. I don't have any wins or losses in this fight, no dog in the fight, so to speak, but like I don't like, I just kind of like, I accepted that, like all I knew was that main character, and I knew this from like a decade 10 years worth of spoiling, because like, let's be honest, and let's be real, you Lori, are the true blue. You want to see more.
All of it.
Maybe it's bad, maybe it's good. I don't care. I want to see it. Like, so I get that. I totally get that as a sci-fi fan. Never mind anything beyond that.
Yeah.
Not for me personally, but at the same time, I gotta say, like, James Cameron is he's a pardon my language, he's a goddamn movie wizard. Like, he knows how to draw you into the movie, even though I personally and I had to go back to my hard points of sci-fi. Like, sci-fi is this, sci-fi is that, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's me personally. But at the same time, me as a dad, I can see like where like you're introduced to Jake and his family as a family. Like, that's your view. Like, you don't know about the past, you don't know about the future, you just know family, mom, dad. I love that. I love that about this movie, even though it's not for me personally. I love that it has that balance. I love that it has the adventure. It has the daughter trying to figure out who she is, if she's female, if she's whatever, it has the sons being like, hey, that's your baby girl, your baby sister being beat on, you better defend her. I love that. I love that it has all the great hallmarks of a family movie. That's the best way I can put it.
Oh, and yeah, I can relate to Lori as far as a long wait, like when Twin Peaks the TV series ended. I fan out over that. That's my jam. And so I never thought that they were going to come back to that series, and they kept teasing every once in a while. Maybe they might, maybe they won't. And then finally, after decades, they come out with Twin Peaks The Return, and we got 10 more episodes. And I loved all of them. And even though he ended it on a cliffhanger again, I was fine with that. It's complete. I don't need any more. So yeah. So hopefully, once you've got all of your Avatar movies, you'll have that sense of completion as well.
I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I will say, shame on IMDb for having the link for Sigourney Weaver, but not for the other actress. So shame on them for that.
I went to the fandom, the whatever fandom, I don't know. But yeah, that's where I got like a lot of my information. That's where I like to go for all my dorky stuff.
Oh no, I have a challenge for you, Lori. I got some questions for you to challenge your fandom.
Boy.
Oh, have you been to Disney to the theme?
No, and I live so I was gonna go to that.
Say.
Dude, I live like an hour and a half away. There's really no excuse at this point.
No kidding. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So, but the problem is I was gonna go March of 2020. We all know what happened. And life has just been really weird since then. I don't know about you guys in your whole world, but in mine, it's been weird. And I just changed careers. So now like things are even weirder. Yeah,
I understand that.
life is busy, but I do, my significant other and I, we are talking about doing it at some point in the future. We would love to. That and the Harry Potter stuff, like right around the corner.
Hey, not to get totally off the subject, but I pre-ordered Hogwarts Legacy, so I'm getting ready to play that. And I got the deluxe edition, so I can start tomorrow. And I think on our channel we're gonna maybe try doing a live play of that on our channel here. So for those people out there that are watching, you might get to see me playing badly a Hogwarts game. But but yeah, so you haven't been to that. Also, another shout out to Mega 64. I love those guys. Rocco is like a huge Disney guy. Disney theme park guy, so yeah, I know a lot about the Avatar stuff just because of him. And he actually didn't care much for the first movie, but he loves the theme park so much, and the Avatar attraction that he was obsessed with seeing the second movie. And I think he's still just he's more into the world than the movies. My second question is, do you have a Avatar action figure?
No, I don't. I think I only have a crazy cat lady action figure. Somebody bought me for that, like, I don't know, back in like 2007 or something.
Right.
I don't have an action figure. Do you?
No, but McFarlane has for this new movie, he's got a whole line of Avatar action figures.
Really?
You got the Navi, and then they also have the birds that they fly. They got those as well. So yeah, you might want to go to your local Walmart and check those out. And then because I didn't see any in the background, I'd figure I would see those.
No, lots of moon art in my room here.
No, I'm more of a Amigo guy. Let me grab one of them for you. The ever great Stan Lee.
Okay. Very nice.
But I have a bunch of horror ones, and yeah. And unfortunately, the only Marvel one they have is Stan Lee. But they also have a bunch of DC ones. But yeah, I'm more of a Amigo guy. That's more of a 70s thing, so that's more of my jam.
If I remember, you have like 1,000 action figures.
You know what? I still have those. They're mostly in storage.
Oh,
wow. But yeah, so yeah, my return to action figures has been more low key with the Migos.
Gotcha.
But yeah.
Nice.
Yep. And fun fact about this movie, James Cameron, well, the first one, it took him a long time to get the movie up and going. He even stopped it himself because he knew that the technology wasn't there to actually make the movie. But when it was finally ready to go and pull the trigger on it, he went to 20th Century Fox with his treatment and everything, and they got cold feet. So
oh wow,
he goes to Disney and say, "Hey Disney, would you like this?" And Disney's like, "Oh yeah, we like this." And that's when 20th Century pulled I guess there was some clause that they could pull. They go, no, we want it. So so they pulled it, and that's when it was made by 20th Century. And then so now it's funny how now it's returned back to Disney since they bought 20th Century Fox.
Gotcha. Huh. Did not know that.
So yeah, I didn't either until I read the wiki. I'm not that's genius.
Very nice.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I would say, and we are barely. I don't know how long they're going to have it. Maybe another month, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months. Nobody knows. If you have the chance to dip out on the weekend or whatever, it should be everywhere to see this movie. I would say, despite my personal feelings about sci-fi and all that, despite that, go see it. Go see it. It really is an experience in the theater. You're never going to replicate of Avatar, the first one, unless you have 3D, the shades on or whatever. Like, nobody's going to have that. But
yeah, definitely try 3D.
Yeah, no, oh yeah, for sure. If there's a 3D option in your town, go see it. See it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not really into 3D, although you would think I was, because I'm all into my PS4 VR, but I don't know what it is. um, but yeah. No, yeah. I guess Lori's like the huge fan. Mike is sort of way on the other side. I guess I'm sort of like in the middle. I enjoy it. Like I said, there's parts of it that I love, and then parts that just don't trigger me like they do you. It's like
Mhm.
it's like, okay, it's there. But and I think it may have to do basically with the whole Navi is like, I'm just not completely into their world. Not that it's bad or anything. It's just there's certain fantasy that really triggers me. Like yeah, I'm all in on Lord of the Rings, but
Me too.
that world.
Yeah.
But for some reason that this world just, I see the appeal of it though. I mean, it's a
Mhm.
complete world. It's not like a discount, a discount world that
No, no,
that
not at all. Not at all.
some but it's like the key is whether or not you buy into that world.
Sure.
And I buy in halfway. Is like, okay, I understand this world, but yeah, I'm not all in, whereas you're all in.
Mhm.
So yeah. So yeah, it's a thumbs up for me, but not enthusiastic.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for the future ones. So, because I need my answers or my questions answered. So, I'm definitely excited to see them. And I know I have to wait until next year, which is a bummer, much like the Lord of the Rings when that was the thing every year. I was like, okay, fine. But, it is what it is. Of course, when it's all together, you're like, okay, that was great. I really enjoyed that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
did they've announced the name of the next movies? Did they?
I don't even know. Yeah.
I think they have. Of course, I should have looked this up. Let's see.
Come on, Thomas.
I know. Let's see.
How many movies are there going to be? I thought there was only supposed to be 3, and now I hear
there's
more.
5.
I heard that there was going to be 5.
5, yeah.
So this one plus like 3 more. So
Oh, 4 more?
You're in
So,
for
like,
it, yeah.
This one plus, so 6 total.
Yeah. I think 5 total.
Oh, nevertheless,
Or no,
it's great.
or 6. Well, let's see. It says 5 as we know it. Yeah, because we've got Avatar Way of the Water. Avatar 3 comes out in 2024, Avatar 4 2026, and Avatar 5 2028.
No. See, they put these large gaps in there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
dang it. Okay, fine. Let's hope that they don't keep pushing them back though, like they've done in the past.
As a true blue fan, I'll tell you this. Give them whatever they want. If they want 3 years, if you want 10 years, probably not 10 years.
Not 10
but
again.
Yeah, no. I would riot. If I were a true blue fan of this, I would riot. But I will say this from the standpoint of being a fan for other sci-fi properties, whatever, let it ride. And I just have full, I will say this. It's hard for me because I am, as a dad, that's probably the best way to come about this, to be most positive, is from a dad standpoint, if my kiddos, they have not seen the first one or this one or whatever. But I'm not gonna lie, we are gonna be the suckers. I'll take them to see it, and then they'll get to experience it, because it's not about me, it's about them and that experience. So who cares if I don't necessarily align with it or whatever? And there's nothing wrong here. That's the thing, is there's nothing to complain about, really, truly. So who cares?
Oh.
And that's kind of the second benefit of having kiddos, is maybe I didn't appreciate it for the first take or whatever. That's fine. But you know what? I'm going to appreciate it from when they get involved and they're like, hey, Dad, hey, when is the third one? When is the fourth one? When's the, that? That's excitement. That's cool. That's awesome. That's what it should be about. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I have a hard time recommending it, but at the same time, you know what? Forget what I say. Go see it. Go see it. Go see it. Go have fun. Go have.
Well,
Well,
yeah.
that's the whole point. The whole point is like I get so tired of the people online who say they poo-poo everything and under the sun. Don't see it. Don't see it. Man, forget you. Like, go live a little. Go have fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll
Yeah.
like it.
I think I think what you were talking about, it was, I guess, seeing it through your kids' eyes is like, I guess I used to recommend movies all the time to people, and then I would get them to watch it with me, and then it's an interesting experience when you're watching it with someone else, because
Sure.
you start watching it through their eyes, and sometimes you're like, oh crap, they're not gonna like this. I can see this coming.
Yeah.
No, this isn't good. This is not going to be good.
And
All right, so I do have the names of the future movies. I'm sure it's tentatively titled, but Avatar 3 is going to be The Seed Bearer. The fourth one's going to be the Tolkien Writer, and the fifth one's The Quest for Iwa.
Wait, the Tolkien writer, like writing an animal?
Yeah,
Okay,
like the writer,
okay.
yeah.
like
Okay.
So does that spur anything in your mind, Lori?
What was the next title? And yes, they all did.
The last one's obviously this one, The Quest for Iwa or Awa.
No, I'm sorry. Okay, so number 3 is what?
The Seed Bearer.
The Seed Bearer makes me wonder, like, if they're going to talk about the next in line to be in charge.
Oh yeah, that would make
And
sense.
then the next one, what's the next title?
I have a question
the
for Lori in a
Tolkien,
second.
Yeah,
Tolkien
yeah.
writer.
Tolkien. What was that, Mike?
Okay, so I didn't understand this. Okay, so they had about middle of the movie, they held this song and dance from the Navi perspective of like a leader, and they had the one leader, the old one, presumably they had the younger one, and they did this knife indigenous thing or whatever, like, and like I was like, did they kill him? Did they not kill him? Did they just mark him? Like, I didn't get that. Like, were they talking about a leader for the going into the future? Like, that totally went over my head. Like, I don't know what the hell they were doing.
Now
Aside
that
from
you say
like,
that, I'm not even sure. Yeah, maybe. Who was doing was it the shaman? Was it her that was doing?
So there was like, okay, so all right. So if you go back to the movie and you remember, there was like a major plot point where it was like the kids and the stupid sea navvy, and they were like, your tail's shorter and your fingers are different. No, okay, before that point, like probably about 20 minutes before that point, they were talking about the leader of the whatever tribe, I presume the forest tribe, I think. But anyway, they had that, and then they had like the new guy, and they had like this curved Dune-like knife. I don't want to like throw Dune in here, but like they had this like really wicked curved knife, and he like has this like thing that goes over him, and like he cuts him on the chest, and like then he assumes the mantle of the leadership or whatever, and then it's like, I didn't get it.
Maybe that was just part
like,
of the ceremony. Don't you think that was, Thomas? Don't you think that was part of the ceremonial?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Well, I just took it for like, okay, leadership. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, cool. We'll see this guy as the main guy in like in number 3 or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah.
You're talking about the guy that then took over when Jake Sully left. That was his nemesis. Do you remember that, Thomas? That was his nemesis from part 1. That was the guy that was supposed to be. Well, he felt like he was supposed to be in charge, and he was the one that was going for oh my God.
That's right. Yeah.
Nitria. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay,
so that was the person that was supposed to be with her, but
that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Sorry, now I'm following you. I'm like, what are you talking about?
No,
there's so much in that movie that I like literally forget pieces, and I'm like putting things together later. I'm like, wait, what happened? And I have to really think it out. Yeah, no.
Like I get it as a normie. I get it. Like, old leader, new leader. Okay, cool. Like, how does this play in with the thing? Like, I totally
Yeah,
Lost
you have
on
to
me.
be you almost have to be like that meme from Always Sunny with Charlie with all the tax and the map and everything.
Oh my God. I was literally just watching their podcast yesterday, that exact episode, and they were talking about that, how that's like the most
Yep.
used meme in that very moment,
Yep.
just to describe
Yep.
like crazy chaotic side of
Yeah,
everything.
that little known podcast of Always Sunny podcast.
Love
Not as big as ours, but you you guys out there might want to check it out.
Yes,
Give them a few
awesome.
views.
Yeah, like I as a sci-fi fan, like I would probably pass it over, but like as a dad, once you see it with your kids, then they're like, Dad, what about number 2 or 3 or 4, whatever,
Mhm.
like that. Like, so I love that about it. So, and honestly, like this just pushed me toward more of alternative creative things like manga and anime. I get like this is the best the West can do right now, and there's nothing wrong with it per se. But for me personally, like I mean, again, like go see it. Really, truly,
Yep.
go see it. Form your own opinion. There's nothing wrong with it. Like
Mhm.
Yeah, and
perfectly fine. Like I don't
again,
want to.
if
Yeah,
it's not your jam, there's plenty of
yeah,
stuff out there.
that's fine. That's fine. But like there's not enough there for me to like go off on a limb and like be the quartering of the Tim Pools of the world or the YouTube cringe of the world and like go, oh, I don't like it because of whatever. Like as a dad, go see it. You'll be fine. You'll be happy. You'll be happy.
You
Agreed.
weren't triggered, right? Okay, so, so
Never.
I know
Never.
those terms. All right, so yeah, I think we're getting close to the end here. Lori, was there anything else you wanted to add, or you want to do a
Or
shout out or
or
anything to you?
yeah, to piggyback on what's like you want to do justice to like you have the nerddom here at your grasp.
Yeah, you have the
What do you
floor.
want to share them? Like whatever you want to like, please, like the newer the better, the whatever. Like we are all about exploring new content and all that wonderful
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, as far as if you want to shout out to anything that you're currently watching or like or whatever, yeah, the floor is yours here.
Well, I just watched the M. Night Shyamalan movie like 2 nights ago. Loved that.
I haven't
Really?
seen the movie, but I've read the book
Damn.
by Peter
Oh,
Tremblay
really dug it.
or
That was
Paul Tremblay.
awesome.
Yep.
really?
Yeah,
How does it
yeah.
compare to the old like M. Night Shyamalan, like little buzzers and bingers and like all the
It,
gotchas?
I thought it was great, and it left me thinking for days about the characters and like
No
how
kidding.
real and raw, like there's this big guy in it and how real and raw it really was and how great of an actor he was. I think he was a wrestler or something. I don't really
Yeah,
know.
Dave Batista. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah. And
Uh-huh.
I was just enamored by all 4 of the people that showed up on this like property. Just they were great, but like his acting was amazing. The twist was great. It kept me and my boyfriend like on the edge of our seats. We're like, okay, this is maybe what's gonna happen. This is what's gonna happen. And we're just like going back and forth and we were having fun with it. But it was terrific. I really
How
recommend it.
have you seen the Mark Wahlberg M. Night Shyamalan happening at all?
No.
All
Is
right.
that really good?
No.
I'm trying to think.
No, I was asking just to get it like if you had seen it,
So-
like to kind of
Get
get
a
a
perspective of it.
thumbprint on
really
like your,
like- I really like The Sixth Sense. I really like The Village. Did he do Signs? I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I liked those 3 movies. Those 3 I thought were terrific. I feel like that was right on par with those.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I think that it's since it's based off a book, he had something something meaty to go off of. I read the book. It came out right around when the pandemic happened, and I started reading it, and it was so real and so raw and so deep that I had to put it
Yes.
aside because there were so many emotions going on in your
Yes.
head while that stuff
Yes.
was going on that
Yes.
it really got to me. I was like, okay,
Super parallel.
yeah,
Now that
I
you
got
say that, if I
yeah.
was reading that at the beginning of the pandemic, I too would have had to put that crap down. I'd be like,
yeah,
not dealing with this right now.
so I put it aside, and then I heard that the movie was coming out, and it was based on. Oh crap! I need to read this book, and so I picked it back up and read it, and it was really really good. And but yeah, I follow him on Facebook, the boomer internet, and yeah, and I was very excited for him. He was posting pictures of the premiere and everything, and
yeah,
with him being able to go and stuff. That was really cool. And also a shout out to him. Another one of his books that I really want to get made into a movie that that that's really close to getting made is called Head Full of Ghost. And that one's good if you're looking for a really good horror read. It's sort of like an Exorcist story, but it's a film crew going into film, the kind of like reality TV style of this family with this girl with these demons. And I'll say that, and it's bigger and better than you imagine in your mind.
You've read it?
Oh yeah, it's great. It's awesome.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice.
So
sorry
to hog up your space there, but anything else?
That's it. Yeah, I mean, I don't get a lot of time to watch TV these days. I guess I finally just finished, what was the Lord of the Rings show that was on Amazon? What was that name?
Rings of Power.
Yeah, that's it.
Finally just finished that. Oh, that was tremendous.
Oh, what was your opinion overall?
I liked it. It was, again, very open-ended, but I liked it. Same with the dragon show, the Game of Thrones one.
Oh yeah.
House of Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, House of Dragons. Loved that one as well. So yeah.
If you were to like have to decide theoretically between those two, which would you return to first over the other one? If pressed,
probably House of Dragons. I think I connected with a little bit more. How about you guys?
I think so too. Yeah, I don't think Mike didn't make it all the way through Rings of Power. It wasn't to his taste. I had problems with Rings of Power, and certain elements didn't work for me as well as other elements, like the whole thing with the dwarves and that I forget the name of the elf, with them working together. That was awesome. I love that. That was quintessential Lord of the Rings to me. Yes. Whereas some of the other stuff didn't ring true, but I know that they've kind of had, since they don't have rights to everything, they've kind of had to play kind of fast and loose with the actual the history of it. So yeah. But yeah, I watched it through the end, and obviously there's going to be a second season. I'm there for the second season. I think there was a lot of detractors for it.
True.
I think a lot of it was online just cattiness about certain aspects. There's a feeling against female protagonist, which I've never had an issue with.
I don't understand that at all.
But yeah, that's not what I had issues with. And then they also had an issue with Galadriel being a badass, that that didn't ring true to her later character in the later Lord of the Rings movies. But I see that as, this is young Galadriel. You're very much different when you're in your 20s as opposed to in your 40s.
Right.
So yeah, I didn't have an issue with that, but yeah.
I would just say Matthew Smith, Doctor Who fan. No, I am 100%. Yeah, you're right, correct. But I was just saying, like I have old school, whatever he does that role. Like, it's a whole other level. Like, I can't comment on Rings of Power. Like, hey, if you like it, wonderful for you, great. That's end all be all of it. You like it, that's it. You don't need to consult anybody else for anything else. But it wasn't for me, like Thomas said, poetically. But the House of Dragons was amazing. But getting back to center though, so you, as a true blue fan, Lori, you are really excited for 3 and 4 and 5 or 6 or whatever the hell it is, like you are down for it, correct?
Yeah, 100%. There's no way. Even if they started just stinking really bad, I would still just watch them all because I have to have all the answers. And I can't see it being bad. Like, let's be honest. There's, some open-ended questions which kind of aggravate me a little bit, but that's what Lord of the Rings did to me too. And I love Lord of the Rings. Sure. So, I'm sticking through.
Yeah, you're not gonna get Ryan Johnson isn't gonna come in and do the 4th Avatar movie and mess it up. James Cameron's gonna be with it through the whole deal.
Thank God. Like,
right.
Like, I don't.
Yeah, I stuck through to the end of the newest Star Wars trilogy because I'm a Star Wars fan. But yeah, it hurt to watch all of those.
I mean, real quick, what do you think about like the Mandalorian and the Boba Fett and all of that?
I love the Mandalorian.
Me too.
And Book of Boba Fett was okay. But
I still liked it.
Yeah, it didn't do it. The end of it, which was I guess Mandalorian 0.5 towards the end of it. I really enjoyed that part where the Mandalorian showed up. But I had a bunch of issues with Obi-Wan. I didn't really like the Reva character.
Yeah. I feel you talking about the Mandalorian, segueing quickly over to The Last of Us on HBO. Have you watched that? Like, there's only been a couple of episodes and it's terrific.
I may have to watch it. I said I stuck my feet in the mud and said I played the video game. Why do I need to see the show? but so evidently people are saying now I disliked. The only reason I'm kind of hesitant on watching the season, because I know if it follows the game, it's going to be really good. And I disliked the second game. So, and I know the second season is going to follow that one. So I don't know if I really want to get invested into this first season only to be let down again with the second season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of torn, but and also I've got myself stacked on shows right now. So I'm watching not to get too far into it, but on Netflix. I'm way behind. I'm watching Wednesday. I'm watching Vikings Valhalla, second season. Vikings, awesome stuff. I'm watching a Korean show called All of Us Are Dead, which is
a horror.
Yes, it's a zombie show.
Okay, what's the name of that one? I love my zombie.
All of Us Are Dead, and it follows a group of kids. It's based in a school.
Wait a minute, I did start watching that. And I thought it was too hokey. I couldn't even get through like the first or second episode.
It is hokey, but I do enjoy it.
Wasn't there like a narration over it or something?
No.
Oh, I felt like there's something weird. Like in the beginning episode, they're like, this is what's going on, and there are children in this. Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Or is that?
No, they're fast zombies, and it's crazy. It's like it's like it's a lot like Train to Busan, if you've seen that.
No,
but no, it's
28 weeks later, fast zombies running real fast.
Fast zombies, yes, fast zombies. You got fast zombies, and you got Asian kids jumping around, parkouring, trying to get away from the zombies. But
that's great.
So yeah, and
I'll have to check it out.
Yep. But yeah, and for HBO, I'm watching Succession. It's about this rich family, but I've heard good things about it. I'm enjoying it so far. It's kind of a dramedy in that HBO vein. And I'm watching a handful of animes. I don't get into those, but yeah. So yeah, when I clear up some of my slate, I'll maybe factor in Last of Us. But I think Mike, you've started watching it, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I try to be real obscure and distance myself from The Last of Us, but like, I fell into it hard and I love it. And
so good.
The only thing that I would say is I am a cis hetero straight male, whatever. Okay, which is fine, whatever. Normally the audience would be like, "Who cares, Mike?" Whatever. But I'm not gonna lie. Like in episode 3, I did fast forward through the kissy romantic parts of it, which would be what I would do anyway. I full disclosure for Obi-Wan, I did not watch the whole thing. I cheated and I fast forwarded through 2 parts. I only cared about 2 parts. One was the first time that Obi-Wan fought Darth Vader. I only cared about that. I saw that. And then like literally the last 30 seconds of the show.
Ooh.
Like, so I am very brutal from the standpoint of like, I have no problem fast forwarding through whatever. So, but all that aside, episode 3, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just like, I get it. I got it. Romance, whatever. You fast forward, you don't miss anything. But having said that, did Mike Shaw show up for episode 4 of The Last of Us? Yes, I did.
I haven't watched it yet. I've been out of town, so I need to watch it.
I will not say anything, but I'm telling you, like the first episode where it had the father and the daughter, it was very much a repeat of that. So you will not be episode 3 was good. Don't get me wrong. Even though I fast forwarded through certain parts, like it still worked. Like there's nothing wrong with it. I just like, I got it. Got it. Like, let's move through the thing. But aside from that, yeah, I don't want to say anything, but like, I think you'll be very well rewarded if you continue on with Last of Us.
Oh, I will. Yeah, no, I haven't even watched all of. Yeah, I haven't even watched all of episode 3. Ran out of time, so I still have some of that, and then of course 4. So tonight, while I'm unpacking, I guess that's what I'll be watching. Super excited for.
Oh, and I guess we're kind of wrapping things up, but
Yes.
Lori, you kind of came in at a big moment in our podcast life. Our next podcast themed podcast is our 100th episode.
Ooh, very nice.
I've come up with a big thing for us. Have you heard the experimental horror movie Skinkamarink?
No.
It's on Shudder. But it's yeah, it's supposed to be this really experimental movie, and people either love it and think it's the best horror movie ever, or they can't finish watching it.
Like because it's so bad or it's so scary?
That it's bad.
Okay, now how does it rank to Human Centipede or Thanksgiving?
I think it's very the experimental part's probably capitalized. There's a lot of weird angles, and the way it tells the story is very avant-garde. So my challenge, I haven't seen it yet. My challenge is for me and Mike to try watching it. If we can't make it through it, we're going to accept that the movie trolled us, and we're going to watch Troll 2, which is the best bad movie ever.
Oh, that's funny. Oh. No, you got to make it through it. Oh, man. What's the Skinkamarink?
Yes, it's like skin. Let me look it up. Skin, and then it's AMARINK.
Okay, I almost
Skinnamarink, I guess maybe is better.
Yeah,
I could be could be pronouncing it wrong. So yeah.
No, totally. Yeah. I gotta watch that. That's I love cheesy horror. That's totally up my alley. So
yeah, we'll have to play it by ear. But like, if Lori, if you're full on board for coming back, like we'd love to have you back for whatever.
Awesome.
This horror, that horror, that sci-fi, this sci-fi, whatever.
Yeah.
Definitely for Avatar. 2, well, 1, 2, and whatever, whatever. But
yeah,
like I had a hard time with it, sci-fi, but at the same time, thank God I'm a dad, because like I can overlook certain things. Like I'm not like, like, oh, this sucks or whatever. Like no. You'll be, if you want to see a good movie, like Top Gun or Maverick, whatever you want to call it, or Minions, or a good, you will
Such a
do
contrast, Minions, Top Gun.
well. But they have in common though, like they have in common like where
Family.
no, exactly. Like you can literally grandma, grandpa, kiddos, grandkids.
Mhm.
I don't care. Put them in the theater. They're going to
Yeah.
enjoy the show. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, that's true among all three, like Avatar 1 or 2, probably.
Mhm.
And, you know, a Top Gun 1 or 2, whatever you want to call it, Maverick,
Yeah.
newer one, Minions. Well, we'll pick whatever Minions. Like Minions, it's a family movie. That's easy. That's easy.
Well, excellent. Yeah, I would love to come back. Any
All right, sounds cool.
horror movies you guys want to do? If you want to talk
All right.
about the new M. Night Shyamalan, I'm here for it. I love that
All
movie.
right.
That was really
I
good.
think-
So yeah.
I think so. Like, I think
Yep.
maybe we'll have to
Yeah.
entertain that for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
And Lori, you've joined the ranks of the legendary writer Joe Lansdale as a guest on our show, the author
Indeed.
Joe Lansdale. So
Yeah, Lori, thank you so much for coming on
welcome.
the
Thank
show.
you.
I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
Like this is the wonderful thing, is to explore these things and find new things. Even in casual conversation, we found like what 2 or 3 or 4 new things. Like
Mhm.
if you're not on board for Avatar, that's fine. Go see this
Yeah.
or that,
Yep.
whatever. Like that's the
Yep.
point, is like entertainment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's all about getting people in with a different perspective. You know, we could probably find another guy like us that thinks exactly the same way and just nod his head along with us. But yeah, it's great having a different opinion on things, and
Absolutely.
great
you.
seeing you again, Lori.
Yes, nice to see you
Yep.
as well.
All right.
Absolutely. And before we go, so you would give a full recommendation for 1 and 2 for Avatar?
Yeah, obviously, like I'm a 100% diehard fan of 1. 2, definitely go see. I thought it was great. It has some open-ended questions, so you have to be coming back to see the rest of them.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Indeed. And
Yep.
any other properties that you want to shout out, or fan favorites that you want to give voice to?
Fan favorites, Dark. Remember that what was that, the Netflix show Dark? I have to just say that. I don't know why that just popped into my mind. That was an
Indeed.
amazing show.
You know, I've had that recommended before, and I haven't watched it yet. So
Not heard
yeah,
it.
I'll need to check it out.
Get
Me
on
too.
Fandom, the website, and like really pay attention, because it's all about time travel, and it interweaves like every 33 years, and you're like, okay, I'm not spoiling anything. It's just like every 33 years time travel. So is it the person 33 years from the past or the future and this time? And it's wild, but it's so good. It's great. So
That's a lot like the 12 Monkeys, the TV show, which we did not get into, but maybe we will in the future. We'll see. Thank you.
Mhm. Yep. Thank
All
you guys. It was nice chatting.
Thank
All
you.
right. And
All right.
see you guys later. I see you.
Bye.
See you.